when I get the data out of here, I want to associate the user ID with it. So let's take a look at image upload. I think all we're really getting is the image metadata. And so what we want to do, don't know how much of the metadata we care about. We're going to do it this way. So for the user item, for the output, we are going to do one of our add-ons, which allows us to associate data to the user. Okay, the reason I had paused there is I wanted to clean up the add-on I'd created before in some of my prior testing before this. So let's go ahead and create it from renewed scratch, as it would be. So we have set up in this call, in this edit, the image reference or the media table reference. What we're going to do is the data we return, we want it to have the image information. And since the user now has a reference, so we're in the context of the user table, we're going to add an add-on reference to media. It will be a single item, and it will be based on the media ID. So if you read here, select the fields from the media database table that map to user, and we will use this mapping to extend the response. We don't need to sort anything. We can call it profile pick. Okay. So what we have is the user's media ID looking at, there we go. So there we go, we get all this info. And I'm going to customize some of this because we don't need password coming back. We're okay with ID. We really don't need created at date. That doesn't help. Name helps. We'll keep the media ID for our own reference. And then if I look at the profile pick, I'm going to customize that as well because I don't care when it was created. I want the path. We'll keep the name. I don't know that type, size, MIME type, metadata. I don't think any of that matters for us. So we'll keep it simple. And then let's go ahead and test this. And to do that, we can do what we normally do. Maybe I can go back out to the 1 pixel site. Wonder if I can remember what that is. Okay. And we will just copy that data URL like we've done in the past. And then we are going to run and debug. I'm moving myself around when I don't need to, I don't think. There we go. So we're on the upload image. We need the auth token, but before I do that, since I have this here, I'm going to put the content there that we just got of the 1 pixel image. I have previously logged in so that we could use the auth token for that. I'll put the auth token here, and then we will run this. And there we go. Okay, so what I have back is, that's why we debug it. Great that I got that info back. That means it worked, but I don't want to be returning the image upload. I want to be returning the variable that is the user item that we did the add-on for. Okay. So let's run and debug this again. The token, put that back in. We recopy the data, come back over to our API tab. There's our 1 pixel image. And when we run this, Okay. So I messed up because we're not getting any add-on information. So let's go back and take a look at what we did there, because I've got the user result, I've got my name, my email, password we don't want to pass back. I need to customize that. So we got a little bit of cleanup on this one, and we're going to do it in real time just to get it out of the way. Okay. So I'm going to customize. I didn't save. That's part of the reason. Look at that. What I did, so this is a mistake I make that, well, you guys will probably make as well. I went in and set all this information up for the add-on and such, but then I clicked off of doing this. I remember hitting the X, I think it was, the video will tell, and never saved stuff. So let's go back and recreate the profile pic and say done for that. I'm going to save, and then we'll come up and clean some things up. And that's why password still showed up, because when I customized here, the created at and password, save that. Now I'm going to be a little bit overly zealous with my saving. So we are then going to go into profile pic and customize that one. We'll keep the ID, but I don't need created at, type, size, MIME type, or meta. So let's save all that. And then let's go through running this again and see if I don't do a little bit better for all of us. We will, and if you notice, I'm also keeping multiple Xano tabs open. For me, it always helps to have an API tab and a database tab. That way I'm not jumping around quite as much. It might look kind of jumpy to you guys because maybe you don't always notice when I'm clicking on the tabs, but that is what I'm doing. Okay, we've got the data URL. I'm going to place that in between the quotes and run. Okay, so now we have me, which is ID 27, my name and email, just for reference. And then we have the image information from profile pic, which is the path, the name. I've got something going on here because I still have size and MIME. We're going to ignore that for now. That metadata shouldn't be showing up because I customized it, but I've got a feeling I skipped a step in there somewhere. So not important enough to go back and mess with again. We have the data that we want, and that'll come back to AppGyver. So that is a good thing. Okay, so at this point, we have compressed the image, we've associated it to a new reference in the user table, and we're now passing that information back to AppGyver. So what we should do is a little bit of cleanup in here, which is now that we're going to get that information back, I'm going to get rid of my alerts because those aren't going to be necessary. And I'm going to go into the data resources because we have changed the API in Xano. This upload image API, we changed it, the output from it. And so what I want to do is rerun the test, which means I want to get my auth token. So we're going to rerun this so we can get the new schema. That was the sentence I started that I did not complete. And then here we want to put the content, which just like we did in Xano, we're gonna end up with a lot of pink or fuchsia images, 1 pixel images. So we've set up the API call, we run the test, and we have a problem. Authentication. Oh, okay. Yeah, getting sloppy. I do that, don't I? Bearer, and then we can run the test. I forgot to put the bearer space on the front of the token, so it wasn't going to work. Okay, so I am going to save the schema. So now we have an updated upload image schema. And the reason that becomes important to us is when we come back to the screen, after we've set the app variable, we're going to reset it actually, because then we have compressed, and we've converted a file to base64, and then we've created the record. But what we're going to do is reset the app variable now, because that app variable is bound to here, profile image path. And so now what I'm going to do is set that app variable to be the Xano path. Okay, so we will reset that app variable. Which reminds me, you're going to hate me on this video because I'm going to jump back to our API because there was a piece in here that I did not do for you. So the run and debug, let's see, do I still have, yep, I have that. We're going to run it again, and I'm going to show you what I have failed to set up. So when I run this again, you'll see that it is a relative path to the image in Xano, not a full path. A relative path meaning that it doesn't have what I would consider the base URL of my instance of Xano. And I'm going to show you how easily you can find out what that base instance is. It is up in the web address for Xano, and it is this highlighted piece. So everything from HTTPS all the way up through the xano.io. That specifies my unique location that I log into for my Xano account, and that needs to be put onto the path here for the blob, and then the unique name folder, and then unique name of the image. And let me show you how you can see that. If we come back out to our database tab of Xano and go into media, and then we click on, let's go with this one. And then I'm going to right mouse click and open this image in the new tab so that we get the actual URL for it. And you'll see that we have the Xano instance for this image all the way through the name. And so that's what I need to be returning back to AppGyver. And to do that, we have to concatenate this section onto that path. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to go ahead and copy this. There's a nice area that we haven't even talked about in settings in Xano for your instance. And you can set up your own environment variables. And so what I've done in the past, and we'll do here, is I'm going to set up a Xano base URL and environment variable. So it's available to me throughout this to-do app as a reference, as a variable. And then I put in the base URL without the last backslash. And the reason for that is that it is already available in what's being returned. Okay, so hopefully this is still making sense. We're really just sticking the rest of the URL onto that relative image path. That's all the magic that's going on here. And we're going to do that in our upload image. This is obviously where we were working before. And what we have here is profile pic. So we're returning all the image info. What I want to do is alter the image path. So we are going to be under profile pic image path. Okay. Let's see if we can't just do this data manipulation, update a variable. So I'm adding in the data manipulation update variable function within the stack. The existing variable is going to be user item. And the, user item, we want to go a little further than that. We want to go to, I'll have to confirm this, but I think it was profile pic dot image dot path. Let's save that and see if we're not correct there. So user item, profile pick image path. Profile image pick path. Okay, so we're in the user item, profile pick image path. So I think I have the right path to it, so that'll be good. And then what I want to do is concatenate those two values together. So I'm going to go to the environment. I'm going to pick Xano base URL, and then I'm going to add a filter. And the filter is just going to be a function. You've seen these before. We've been through them a few times, but there's a bunch of them. But I know I want to do concatenate, which is probably in text. So if I go the slow way, maybe it's not in text. Yeah, it is. There we go. Concatenate. Okay. So to the environment variable that is the base URL, I want to concatenate a value. And oddly enough, what I want to do is user item dot profile pick dot image. Where am I going? Path. There's my head. Okay. Okay. So at this point, what I'm saying is I want to take the image path and give it a new value of the base URL plus itself. So what do you think? That's probably worth testing, isn't it? Because that seems like enough of a change that I might have screwed something up. So we're going to copy our token. We are once again, you know what, I'm feeling like I just need to go with a different color. There we go. And we'll do that one there, and we'll run this. And there we go. So let's take a look at our path here. Remember, this was a relative path before, but now we have a full path. And the way I can see if it's right, it won't work too well because it's 1 pixel, so it won't show up. But at least it'll, okay. So the pixel is just right here in the middle. It's small, but it didn't give us a couldn't find error. So I'm going to say that we have a good path, and we're now getting that information back in AppGyver. Now, keep in mind, even though we did change the API and the data being returned, we don't need to redo the schema because we didn't change the structure of what was returned, just the content of the path. We've turned it into a full path. So at this point, when I create record and I set app variable, and I'm going to pick something from another node, it's going to be from create record. I want to pick path, and it's showing as incompatible. We've run into that before. We know what to do. We go to formula, get rid of our quotes, output of another node, and we are going to pick this. Okay, so at this point, I have reset profile image path to be the path from Xano's backend. Once again, we've made a few changes here. So let me just review real quick, and then I will show you what's going to happen. When we click on this image, we're still going to go through the same tap, pick from an image file. We'll pick another dog picture probably. We're going to set the app variable. We're going to use that location to do compression against, and then the output of that is going to be fed into our convert base64. We'll pass it back to Xano. Now, instead of just storing it in the media table, we're also associating it to the user that is authorized to make that API call, which will be the Steve name. And then coming from that, or in that create record, we're also going to associate it to that user and then create a full path back to it so that we can use that full path as the reference that we then show in our mobile app, which means the mobile app, instead of showing an image from the local device, will be showing the image at the location back at the Xano backend. That seems like a lot. Hopefully we've tested enough along the way that this works. Let's go with that one. We're waiting. We're waiting a real long time, which is not a good thing. So we probably need to go see what actually happened. Back in Xano, I'm going to go to my database tab. I'm going to close that. I'm going to refresh. Okay. Oh, everything probably worked just fine, actually. I had removed my alert that said that it worked, and that's what I was waiting on when I said it looks like it's taking a long time. It's really not taking a long time. So at this point, we now have that URL associated. So this is which item? 34. So if I go back to my user table and look at me, you'll see 34, which means now we can return that anytime this user logs in.